The firearm industry is currently undergoing a massive philosophical shift. For decades, the advice was simple: buy a polymer striker-fired pistol, preferably from Austria, and call it a day. But as we move deeper into the mid-2020s, that advice is becoming dangerously outdated. We are seeing a renaissance of performance-driven engineering. We are talking about chassis systems that allow you to rebuild your pistol on your kitchen table, steel frames making a comeback to tame the snap of modern defensive ammunition, and optics-ready slides becoming the absolute baseline standard. Today we are looking at 10 handguns that represent the full spectrum of the modern shooter's arsenal. We have selected the bleeding edge of technology, pistols that challenge the status quo with modularity and capacity, but we have also reached back to pull forward the titans of the past, the steel-framed legends that still teach us what a trigger pull is supposed to feel like. Whether you are a competition shooter chasing split times or a concealed carrier looking for the ultimate guardian, these are the tools that deserve your attention this year. We start at the absolute summit of the carry gun mountain. If money is no object and performance is the only metric that matters, there is one name that dominates the conversation: the Staccato C2. This platform has single-handedly changed the perception of what a carry gun can be. It is not just another striker-fired polymer frame, it is a 2011. This means you are getting the crisp glass rod break of a 1911 single-action trigger, but with the capacity of a modern double-stack service pistol. The C2 holds 16 rounds of 9mm in a flush-fit magazine, feeding into a platform built around a lightweight aluminum frame. The shooting experience is where the Corvette comparison really holds true. It features a 3.9-inch bull barrel. The extra mass of that bull barrel, combined with the all-metal construction, creates a recoil impulse that is startlingly flat. When you break a shot, the slide cycles with a mechanical smoothness that feels like it is running on ball bearings. The sights return to zero almost instantly, allowing for follow-up shots that are surgically precise. Ergonomically, the grip texture walks a very fine line. It is aggressive enough to lock your hand in place during rapid fire, yet it is not so abrasive that it will ruin your clothing or chafe your skin when carried inside the waistband. It comes from the factory milled for optics, ready to accept the latest red dot sights. When you holster a Staccato C2, you are not just carrying a gun, you are carrying a promise of elite performance. It ruins you for other triggers. Once you feel this reset, everything else feels like a staple gun. Next, we look at a platform that is redefining modularity for the mass market, the Springfield Echelon 4.0. For years, the argument against Springfield was that they were just importing rebadged Croatian pistols. The Echelon silences that criticism permanently. This is a ground-up redesign centered around the Central Operating Group. This is a self-contained, serialized stainless steel chassis that houses the fire control group. Because the chassis is the legal firearm, the polymer grip module is just a part. You can swap frames to change grip sizes, textures, or colors without any legal paperwork, allowing you to custom fit the pistol to your hand size perfectly. The slide features the variable interface system, which is arguably the smartest optics mounting solution on the market today. Instead of relying on fragile adapter plates that raise the optic height and introduce failure points, the Echelon uses a system of movable pins. This allows you to mount over 30 different red dot footprints directly to the slide. This direct mount capability ensures a lower deck height, meaning you can often co-witness your standard iron sights through the optic window. On the range, the Echelon shoots with a flat, predictable impulse. The slide serrations are deep and aggressive, providing positive traction for press checks or malfunction clearances even with wet or gloved hands. It ships with a flush-fitting 17-round magazine and an extended 20-round magazine, giving you duty-level firepower right out of the box. This is not just a competitor to the status quo, it is a leap forward in how we think about pistol architecture. Sometimes the old ways are the best ways, especially when applied to modern materials. That brings us to the Walther PDP compact steel frame. The original polymer PDP was already a stellar handgun, known for having the best striker-fired trigger on the market. But Walther decided to take it a step further by machining the frame from steel. This brings the unloaded weight of the pistol up to around 38 ounces. In the world of physics, mass is your friend. That extra weight acts as a heat sink for recoil energy. When you fire high-pressure defensive loads, the steel frame soaks up the snap, keeping the muzzle dead flat. This pistol feels like an industrial tool. It is built for precision. The trigger breaks with a distinct wall and zero creep, feeling more like a tuned competition gun than a factory striker-fired pistol. The ergonomics are quintessential Walther. The grip angle is natural, and the texture is designed to lock into the fleshy parts of your hand without being abrasive. It comes suppressor-ready with high-profile sights that allow you to co-witness through an optic. Speaking of optics, it utilizes Walther's plate system to mount a wide variety of red dots. Reliability is absolute. If you are willing to carry the extra weight, the trade-off is a shooting experience. That feels like cheating. It is stable, it is fast, and it exudes quality. Now let us step back in time to the platform that started it all. The steel-framed legend, the Colt 1911 Series 70. In a world of high-capacity polymer, why choose a single-stack 45? Because it teaches you trigger control like nothing else can. The Series 70 is prized because it lacks the firing pin block safety found in the Series 80, resulting in a trigger pull that is pure, uninterrupted mechanical perfection. There is a light take-up, a hard wall, and then a crisp, clean break. If you are serious about marksmanship, this gun is your professor. It demands respect for the fundamentals. The recoil of the 45 ACP is a heavy push rather than a snap, and managing that energy requires a proper grip. The thin profile of the single-stack frame makes it surprisingly easy to conceal, despite the weight. However, this is an enthusiast's gun. It requires maintenance. You need to keep the feed ramp polished and check your extractor tension. It rewards you with a level of accuracy and shootability that is hard to match. When you master a 1911, those skills transfer to every other handgun you touch. It is not about capacity, it is about making every single round count. Bridging the gap between a micro-compact and a duty pistol, we have the Sig Sauer P365X Macro, often referred to as the Fuse. Sig Sauer originally disrupted the market with the P365, proving you could fit 10 rounds in a tiny package. The Fuse takes that concept and injects it with steroids. It features a 4.3-inch carbon steel barrel and a longer slide, giving you a sight radius comparable to a full-size service pistol. But the real headline is the capacity. This slim, concealable grip module holds an astonishing 21 rounds of 9mm. That is firepower that exceeds most duty belts in a package you can conceal under a t-shirt. The grip module is thin but features interchangeable backstraps to fill your hand. The texture is aggressive enough for control but won't sandpaper your skin. The flat-face trigger breaks at 90 degrees, providing excellent tactile feedback. Optics readiness is standard, with the slide cut for the RMSC footprint allowing for direct mounting of smaller red dots. This pistol effectively answers the question, do I carry a compact or a full size? The answer is yes. You get the shootability and capacity of a large gun with the concealment profile of a slimline. It is the ultimate hybrid. For those who view a handgun as a piece of combat equipment, we turn to the FN509 Tactical. This weapon was born from the U.S. military's modular handgun system trials, and that pedigree is evident in every inch of its design. It is built like a tank. The 509 Tactical is not trying to be a polite civilian carry piece, it is a warfighter's sidearm. It comes standard with a 4.5-inch cold hammer-forged barrel that is threaded for suppressors or compensators. Surrounding that barrel is a slide equipped with tall, suppressor-height night sights. These co-witness perfectly through an optic, giving you a fail-safe backup sighting system. FN's low-profile optics mounting system is robust, using a series of plates and O-rings to lock the optic down under extreme abuse. The grip texture is extremely aggressive, some might say rough, but that ensures the gun never shifts in your hand, even if it is covered in mud, blood, or sweat. It feeds from 17-round or extended 24-round magazines, providing overwhelming firepower. The recoil impulse is snappy but controllable, thanks to the dual recoil spring assembly. If you want a pistol that will survive the apocalypse and keep running, the FN509 Tactical is the choice. We cannot talk about defensive tools without mentioning the ultimate failsafe, the Ruger GP100. In an era of jamming feeders and limp wrist failures, the revolver stands alone. The GP100 is built like a bank vault. It is a massive chunk of stainless steel designed to digest a steady diet of full-power .357 Magnum ammunition. The weight of the gun is a key feature here. It tames the violent recoil of the Magnum cartridge, turning a painful snap into a manageable push. The double-action trigger is heavy and deliberate. Mastering this long, rolling trigger pull will make you a master of trigger control on any other firearm. It forces you to maintain your sight picture through a long range of motion. For practice, you can run affordable, light-recoiling .38 special ammunition, making it a pleasant range toy. But when loaded with defensive Magnum rounds, it is a formidable stopper. There are no magazines to lose, no springs to fatigue, and no slides to rack. It is point-and-click simplicity. If you need a gun that can sit in a nightstand drawer for 10 years and function perfectly the moment you pick it up, the GP100 is the answer. Returning to the polymer world, we have the pistol that perfected the Glock clone formula, the Shadow Systems MR920. Shadow Systems looked at the most popular handgun in the world, identified every single complaint users had, and fixed them all in a factory package. The MR920 is built on a frame that features a deeper undercut trigger guard and an extended beaver tail. This allows you to get a much higher grip on the gun, lowering the bore axis relative to your hand and drastically reducing muzzle flip. The frame also features a recoil control ledge, a patch of texture specifically placed for your support hand-thumb to drive the muzzle down. The slide is lightened with window cuts to reduce reciprocating mass, which makes the gun shoot flatter and track faster. The barrel is match-grade and spiral fluted. Perhaps the best feature is their multi-footprint optic cut. It uses a series of long, robust screws and spacers to mount almost any optic directly to the slide, eliminating the need for weak adapter plates. It fits in standard Glock 19 holsters and uses Glock magazines, but it shoots like a $2,000 custom gun. It is the evolution of the polymer striker-fired pistol. For those who prefer a hammer but want modern features, the CZ P09 Nocturne is a revelation. CZ has long been the king of hammer-fired ergonomics, and the Nocturne takes that legacy into the modern era. This is a polymer-framed hammer-fired pistol that features the Omega trigger system. This allows you to run the gun in double-action, single-action mode with a decocker or swap it to a manual safety for cocked and locked carry. The Nocturne update addresses the biggest complaint of the previous generation. It is optics ready from the factory. The slide is cut to accept red dots directly, modernizing this classic operating system. The grip texture has been updated to a more aggressive stippling pattern that glues the gun to your hand. The shooting experience is sublime. The slide rides inside the frame rails, a signature CZ design feature that lowers the bore axis and tightens the slide to frame fit. This results in exceptional mechanical accuracy and a very smooth recoil impulse. With 19 rounds on tap and a trigger that gets better every time you pull it, the Nocturne is a sophisticated choice for the discerning shooter. Finally, we land on the baseline, the standard by which all others are judged, the Glock 19. You might ask, why is this on a list of next-level guns? Because reliability is a feature that never goes out of style. The Glock 19 is the Tom Brady of handguns, consistent, durable, and always relevant. It is the practical middle ground. It is big enough to fight with, yet small enough to conceal. The Generation 5 models have refined the formula with the removal of finger grooves, the addition of a flared magwell, and the marksman barrel. The trigger is predictable, a consistent take-up, a defined wall, and a tactile reset. It is not a glass rod, but it is a combat trigger that you can trust with your life. The aftermarket support is infinite. Magazines are cheap and available everywhere. Holsters are ubiquitous. If you want a gun that you can abuse, neglect, and still trust to save your life, the Glock 19 remains the undisputed king of utility. It forces you to focus on your software, your training, and your grip, rather than relying on hardware crutches. It is the essential tool. There you have it. 10 handguns that span the gap from the ultra-modern modularity of the Springfield Echelon to the timeless steel of the Colt 1911. We have seen the rise of the super-capacity micro-compacts like the Sig Fuse and the return of heavy metal with the Walther steel frame. The market has never been more competitive, and that is a win for us as shooters. Whether you choose the custom-grade performance of the Staccato or the workhorse reliability of the Glock, the most important accessory you can buy is ammunition for training. A $3,000 pistol in untrained hands is just an expensive paperweight. So, pick your tool, learn its manual of arms, and get to the range. I want to know in the comments, are you sticking with the polymer classics, or are you making the jump to these next-level platforms? Let me know. Stay safe, stay sharp, and I will see you on the firing line.